wanna be where the people are.
Poor child. I'll make you human for 3 days.
Is that even possible? Watch and you'll see.
This Friday,
Someday I'll be
experience the motion picture event of the year.
part of you.
Disney's The Little Mermaid. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters Friday.
Sherman and Tingle in the morning.
Obviously, we give a lot of love to our military with the show, and that's why we raise money for service animals and things like that. But this specific veteran, I mean, this woman needs more love than anybody. Holy cow! The story with her, and we have her on the line right now. She is Dahlia. Her name, or she is a Lieutenant Colonel Dahlia Daure, and there's so many stories you hear with squatters. The thing with her is insane. Daria's online. Daria, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
We are great. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us because your story is not only incredible, but it infuriates the masses. And we want to get your experience out there so people can learn from you.
Yes, my house was on the market for sale, and I got a cash offer on the house. So that's when I found out that someone was moving into the house. But what I did was had the agent call the police, and they went over there and told me that I had to evict this person.
Wait, the police told you it was your job to evict whoever was there?
Correct, because it's a civil matter.
Okay, and so you tell the police, I don't even know who it is. Somebody just moved in the house. Then what?
I said to them, I don't know this person. They presented a lease. Doesn't have my name on it, the leasing agency on it, and the criminal that moved in my house, I did not know. I don't know him.
So weird on how common this is. Because we've heard other stories, actually one locally here in Chicago, that somebody made up a fake lease, just like what you're talking about, and then the police couldn't do anything because it was a document. So it kind of proved like, no, they rented when in reality they didn't.
Correct. And even though the police called a number on the lease and it was inoperable, the address, he looked it up, it doesn't exist, they still told me I had to go through the court system.
Oh, what a nightmare. Here
What a
you're serving
nightmare.
your country in Chicago, and then you got dirtbags living in your house, tearing it all up in Georgia.
The police also said they get 3 to 4 calls per day about the same thing.
Can't you just borrow a tank from the U.S. Army? Do they mind if you just get like a M1 Abrams and just drive up to the door and go, okay, it's my house, get out?
But there's a law in Georgia called self-help. You can't do anything. If you do anything like that, you could be criminally prosecuted.
Go to jail yourself.
So then you go to jail.
The good guy the bad guy prevails.
Yeah.
The good guy takes it.
And then you're gonna get arrested.
Yeah. There is a law on the books that I use to get him out.
So there's good news. You got the guy out.
And it's the detainer warrant, where you go to the courts and file an affidavit swearing that it's your home and it's your property, and the judge signs off on it, and the sheriffs and the marshals, they'll go and put the person out.
Well, at least you've given some hope to some people that have gone through this or, God forbid, have to go through it in the future. At least you got them out, because you hear so many stories where they can't.
And the good thing is I got him out in time. He didn't have enough time to damage my house. But I want to let homeowners know that you don't have to take this laying down. There are things you can do.
At least she got that person out. Now, she was serving here, and she had her house in Georgia.
Well, listen, and they have a law on the books there that seemed like it made it pretty easy, but do we have the same thing here?
This is what we need to know, and we have a person on the line right now that can answer that. Either will give us great news or scare the hell out of us. From the Vrdolyak Law Group, attorney John Puziss. Hello.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
We're doing great. First of all, thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning, because we have a very important question that we need to ask you.
Sure, of course. Absolutely. Happy to be here.
I'm sure you heard about that story about the woman that is in the U.S. Army, and she had been stationed here in Chicago, and then in Georgia there was a squatter, and she ended up getting that squatter out, but because there's some unique rules.
They had some law in the book in Georgia that made it kind of easy.
Yeah, and we're curious if that's similar in the state of Illinois, or even like Wisconsin for that matter, or Indiana. Is it all kind of the same where you can get a squatter out of your house?
Sure. So actually, it's a little different in every state. I'm an attorney with the Vrdolyak Law Group in Chicago. We're licensed in Illinois and Indiana. Now, we handle all kinds of personal injury matters, from car accidents and truck accidents to medical malpractice cases, anything in between. But yeah, in that particular instance in Georgia, they were able to take advantage of a special type of affidavit called an intruder's affidavit, which allowed them to get the county sheriff to just eject this squatter. But unfortunately, neither Illinois nor Indiana have that option.
Why is that, number one? Why is that?
Well, we are essentially a more tenant-friendly state, as you might imagine.
Illegal tenant-friendly. Illegal tenant. Yeah.
Illegal tenant-friendly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Screw you if you own the house.
You have somebody that's in a property that is unoccupied, might be owned by somebody, but the property is unoccupied, and they can set up shop. They might have a fake lease. They might be able to get bills in their name. And when the police come to try to kick somebody out, they put up a fight, and you end up having to take them to court here in our state and get an eviction.
But how does that work here then? So obviously you said that the laws are different and they could take advantage of it there. Is there anything that anybody in Illinois or Indiana do about that?
Sure. So, the first thing is always going to be protective. If you are somebody that owns a property that you're not occupying, for instance, if it's, something you inherited from a family member, maybe it's a rental, you're in between tenants, those are the prime candidates for squatting because they're owned but unoccupied. So in those instances, having an active security camera, getting a property manager, somebody to drive by on a regular, recurring basis to take a look at the place, that could go a long way in keeping somebody out. But once they're in, if at that point you can't get the police to take action, you're going to end up in court. You'll probably need a lawyer. You're going to have to get an eviction order. And unfortunately, with the way our system is, it can be very time-consuming. You could be looking at 6 months to a year.
Jesus.
You have to get service, on the person. They have to be notified. There's a lot of tactics that people can use to stretch that process out. So, obviously, taking steps at the outset to protect your property is your best move, but having a good lawyer on retainer or having somebody that that you can call that can help you out is going to be your next best bet to navigate the system and get these people out.
So you're better off to have a squatter in your house if your house is in Georgia.
It seems like it to me, yeah, because they've got some rules on the books that are going to allow you to take action swiftly, and at least down there, your county sheriff can come in and kick them out.
So, John, you're telling me that if I ever lose my job and, I can't pay my bills, I can just come up with a fake lease, find some house that's unoccupied, break in, and no one can kick me out until about 6 to 8 months?
You are really right on target.
God.
People have used the laws as they're written creatively, unscrupulously, and they take advantage of the situation. Obviously, times are tough. Housing is expensive, but
how do we get that changed? Where do we go? How do you go to Springfield and get that changed?
People are going to have to talk to their congressperson. They're going to have to talk to their local state reps, local officials, and they're going to have to start getting that information out there that these laws need to change. There has to be a fast-track option, for people to eliminate this issue.
Somebody's going to have to squat in a congressman's house.
Totally.
I think that would be an excellent way of getting the point across. Certainly. That would wake everybody up.
Wow, this is enlightening. Bad news enlightening, but at least we know what the details are. Attorney John, is it Puziss? I want to say your name correct.
Yep, John Puziss with the Vrdolyak Law Group here in Chicago. Head to our website, VLG Law. We take care of all different legal matters. We're happy to speak to anybody about any matter that you've got.
John, thank you so much. Appreciate you talking to us.
All right, appreciate the time anytime.
I could only imagine you in Tingleland. Let's say somebody,
Let me tell you something right
somebody takes your house, Tingle. You're going to lose all of their arms, I'm sure.
I'm gonna create an example. But let me tell you something right now. We need to find a congressperson in this state. We need to find someone who has multiple houses. And we need to all go there together and live in the house and set an example. Listen, it'll be national news.
Yeah.
We need to set an example.
Just squat?
I mean,
they got to move out first.
I don't understand how not one person has brought this to the forefront and said, hey, we got to just make this an immediate law where you wouldn't get full bipartisan support on this to just make it stop it with a snap of a finger. That's insanity.
I find it.
I want to kick myself in the face.
Well, try and do it.
So
I don't know if you're
mad.
that flexible.
The Sherman and Tingle Show. Mornings on 97.1 FM The Drive, Chicago's classic rock.